Ortiz back again with another This Week in Brave Exvius. We are here on March 15th, 2023, and there is a lot of stuff going on. It looks like we're making up for how slow January and February were. I guess you can maybe argue the last week of February was kind of interesting. But yeah, there's been a lot of news, a lot of units, fast and furious in March here. And we're going to talk a lot about it later in the show because we did have a live stream on Sunday. I, of course, don't bother watching them anymore, but I definitely check out the Beige Carpet review with a lot of the community's top creators. So if you're interested in catching that, definitely check that out. I will put a link in the description below on the YouTube video for that. You can check out all of our community friends' Gert's channel. He's been organizing this for, I think, 5 or 6 of them in a row now. And they basically do a video afterwards. They kind of go over everything. From what I understand, this one was not as boring as normal, and they actually stuck to a lot more information, and they finished really quickly. So, you know. But after reviewing all the material, as the title says, it was a bit of a mixed bag, so we'll get to that later. But let's talk about what happened this week. All right, diving right in. Big news, of course, first, there's no DV logo here because they closed Dark Visions. As we predicted last week, they are going to fix the issue, and they're going to reset everybody's score that was on the final stage. To do this, though, as I predicted, they would not be able to do it in the maintenance window that they had, which, again, is just kind of a testament to how probably few people are actually working on the game, or how stretched thin they are, and it doesn't look good, but hey, what are you gonna do? It's weird. You get mixed messages. It feels like there's not a lot of people working on the game at all, and there's probably like half of the team of programmers or more are working on Clash and some other stuff. But yeah, it just feels weird. We'll talk about that later too. But yeah, DV is closed. It should open up tomorrow, and it's going to open up side by side with Clash of Wills, so you will have both of those things to do. Clash, you might even want to hold off on, so you can probably focus on DV here. So commence the Rikuing of the Riku Reckoning of Riku-ness, as I'm sure that there will be no way to get in top 100 or top 500 or maybe even top 1K without Riku. I will probably be able to get into top 1K if Riku works. I don't have Looming Wrath, which is a legacy counter boosting materia. So there is going to be an artificial cap on my score. But Dark Matter, I believe JP just got their second set of Dark Matter weapons like a month ago. So we won't be getting ours for a while. I don't even remember what they are, which probably should tell you that none of them are that important. So if you don't already have your attack katana and your magic sword, you're going to want to buy those two first anyway. And Dark Matter just isn't really that premium currency like it was back before we had Clash of Wills. Like, Clash of Wills gear is way more important and impactful than the Dark Vision weapons. They're nice to have, but they're totally not necessary for most of the game. Not in the same way that our global exclusive Vision cards are, So anything that's global exclusive is almost always going to boost you, into the stratosphere, and you're probably well aware of that. Okay, so let's move right along from DV into the units that we had this week. So we got... I haven't played on my emulator. We got Shantoto and Lion from FF11. A little out of order. Again, we kind of knew this last week, but we were wondering where Dio is. Well, we'll talk about him later. But yeah, Shantoto and Lion are totally skippable. FF11 just doesn't get much love from Alim, and therefore Gumi does not put much extra love into them. Yeah, there's really been not much to do with these units. It's kind of sad too, because in my personal opinion, I think Final Fantasy XI is a top 5 Final Fantasy, and it's kind of a shame, really, because it's an MMO, so a lot of people won't play it because of that. But one of the places where it really excels, similar to Final Fantasy XIV, is in its single-player story. And a lot of these characters are at least worth knowing and all that. Mostly the player character does all the cool stuff in the FF11, but you know some of the supporting characters are pretty interesting. So kind of sad to see that there's no upgrades here. Shantoto will be pretty good if you can get a leader that will boost her damage. So either the unit that's coming tomorrow or next week, if you pull on those, or you spike one of those and you happen to pull a Shantoto, she will parse pretty well, at least for a little while. Especially when you're going to go into those magic fights and you may need mages if you can't overcap them with physical units through their ridiculously super high defense. Anyway, yeah, there's really not much to talk about when it comes to the units. We did get this card though, the card with Midian on it, which I really want because I want this as my card, but you know, to be in my display. But it's just attached to a banner where I just really can't care too much about going for it. Well, let us look here. Yeah, I think it's not ridiculous or anything. It's magic and ice resist. It's 500 magic. I wonder if it'll let us take a look. Probably have to go back to the news for this, but. News. There it is. Alright, that's the vision card for next week. There it is. So, the reason this is good is because it's got 50% killer to 4 different races. Now, the problem is that these are all very common. But it is physical and magic, so you know you can slap this on either a Roberta type character, or whoever that does magic, and this card's really good. The problem, and it's 135 magic, flat. The problem is again it's attached to a banner that just doesn't have much on it to go for, especially when you're having to save for all the stuff that's coming up. Sometimes banners fall victim to. There's too many good things that we know about that are already coming, and there's a limited amount of lapis, and not all of us are whales, so we can't go for everything, and it is what it is. But hopefully there'll be a chance for a rerun. You can probably bank on Anniversary having a card rerun for sure, maybe 2. There might be 2 tickets you could buy as opposed to just 1, and this one wouldn't be a terrible one to go after. If you don't have Dazzling Demoness, you'll probably want to go for that over this. But if you already have 1 Dazzling Demoness, or especially if you have both, you might want to go for this, or you might want to go for the card that's coming next week, because you might be skipping that one as well. And the card that's coming next week is another magic card, and it's also pretty good, if I recall correctly. Hold on, let's go take a look at it real quick. That's hers. This one is the one that's coming on the step up. Looks, again, great art. Rain on here. This has MP reduction instead of a resist. Same stats. But then this has a self dark amp. But I believe this is only 100. So that might not be the best, considering I think Melissa dark amps for 150. Or we'll take a look at her later. When we're talking about some of the units that are coming tomorrow and next week. But yeah, this one is another one where I'm really hoping that there's a rerun to come back and pick this up, especially if it's needed. The one that came out that had like ice on it, that had the exact same effect, we ended up not really using that a ton because we didn't get a whole lot of other ice units, and it's kind of like, do you want to take this? Do you want to use this card? You probably would use it actually if you don't have Melissa. Now that I'm thinking about it, you probably would use this on like a 2B or like a Jazur or something if you don't have Melissa. But if you have Melissa, you're probably not going to use this. It still could be super good for certain instances. We just really don't know. Again, it being caster only is the problem. If it did it to the party, even as a one-off, this would be amazing. And it'd be like a must grab. So, that's what came out. We got crowns for Ampharu. We'll go over to the battle real quick. Game's pretty slow today. Even on mobile, it's a little slow. So we got crowns here. Not much to write home about, honestly, with these crowns. And there's not a lot of Final Fantasy 11 units, and it is locked to those units. So doing this with Final Fantasy 11 units is kind of rough, especially to clear within 5 turns. If you have double Ayaka card, it's pretty possible to do with medium gear. If you have good gear and double Ayaka card, you're good to go. I unfortunately do not have double Ayaka card. I only have one, and that's because I did not pull for her super hard. I just pulled to make sure I got a couple. I'm still like 50 or 60 fragments away, I think, from EX3 with her, so you can beat this, though, with literally solo Ampharu if you have the right gear, by poisoning the boss. It's Alexander. He's only 50% resistant to poison, so you can actually poison him, and as long as you can survive and regen your health, and, you know, with the right amount of light resist and blah, 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 you can get through this without doing the 5 turns clear mission, and you can still get your crowns, your silver crowns. Missing out on STMR Moogles is not fun, but I'd much rather miss out on this than the Gigantor or the crown. So not really too heartbroken about that. We have another farming event as per usual. It's 50 energy to do the max stage. You've seen it 100 times before. 69 energy, nice. You know, that's what I'm doing right now. Really the only reason to do it is, you know, for the actual scale down rewards. Since we haven't talked about one of these in a while, I guess I'll go ahead and talk about it real quick. Yeah, look at how slow the game is, just chugging right now. Basically, the reason you do it is because you want to get all these rewards, right? So the event point rewards. So you want to get the lapis, you know, you want to get the EX coins. The reason you especially want the EX coins is because you can buy an unlimited amount of relics from the EX coin shop, which turns into however much you can craft ore for your espers. So you definitely want to go all the way down to the 90,000 points, get your EX coins, get your 2K lapis here at 80K, and you know, from there it is what it is. There's the box summons, same old as normal. You know, you get some fragments, you get some the skill up coins in here. You'll get some TM Moogles, you'll get a Gigantor and an Omni Prism, and, you know, free pearls, some free tickets. So you may as well do this, as there's not much else to do. There's nothing to spend energy on, and you literally can't raid or spend orbs this week, so there wasn't much to do. But after you finish your DV, there won't be anything tomorrow because it's Clash, so you can clean this up throughout the next week. And there's only 4 boxes, so, you know, it's a lot less currency. I think what they did in JP was they lowered the amount of total runs you're going to need to do by lowering the total amount of currency and condensing the rewards, not giving you a bunch of like level 1 pots and stuff like that that you don't need. So there's that. And then there were some trials. Ugh, man, everything is super slow today. There were some trials. I just rebooted too. There's some trials here where you grab some Shantoto's gear. So you get some boots, and you get the upgrade patterns for the boots. Pretty self-explanatory. You can take any units to these 3 fights, so I would recommend just like bringing in a strong team and blowing it up. You'll be able to finish that also next week. And that's pretty much all that happened this week. Not much to talk about, you know. We talked about the drama about DV last week, you know, because we figured that it was going to get closed. But now let's move on to cover what we learned on Sunday. So lots of stuff in the live stream. It was much more information dense, unless, well, we'll just say BS dense. So I'll go ahead and throw some item world runs while we're talking about it. And the first thing we got to hear about was Dio. He is coming. He's coming about a month later than he did in JP, but obviously this is going to be due to Gumi having to do an app update for leader skills to function properly to make sure that the framework comes in. And since they weren't ready to do it on the last one, they're doing it now, and they wanted to hold off on Dio until then, I guess, even though they could have put him in without his leader skill, like they're doing with Ibarra tomorrow. And that was the second bit of information, was Ibarra is coming tomorrow. A new version of Ibarra that has morale skills and all kinds of stuff is coming. Oh, man. Look at how freaking laggy it is. Something's going on. Must be something wrong with my emulator. Anyway. Well, we'll just do that one run and then we'll refrain. Anywho, let's go back to Dio for just 1 second, though. For some reason, they decided to change his name coming over to this game from the JP version. I have no idea why. His name is Diosis, and it's Deoxys in our game, I guess, or Diosis. The X with pronounces a Z. I'm just going to call him Dio because I'm a huge fan of JoJo's, obviously. And there's no reason for me to call him anything else. So I'm just going to call him Dio. And, yeah, he's... as far as we know, they didn't mention this, but there's not going to be any adjustments made to pricing. And if you've been following JP at all, you'd know that all the leader skill units in JP that have the 500% to attack and magic leader skill for an element in a unit series are all premiums. So 60k to pity instead of 46, and your pull rates are probably going to be a lot lower. And yeah, that's really disappointing. They're going to shift the meta. They're going to force you to go along with it, and they're going to force you to pay a higher price. And I just feel like this is kind of the culmination of what I was talking about, you know, probably around the near time after we had seen Dio come out in JP, that the game is probably, you know, it's in its descent into maintenance mode, where they're just going to try to add something in to shift up the meta for a year, release stuff along that line, and then, you know, basically stay content bare and try to get you to buy as many of the units you like as possible before end of service. I really wish I had a more positive outlook on it, but I just see that's what I just see happening because of all the issues of them. Look, before we move on, let's just get this out of the way. The game goes down for maintenance on a weekly basis. Now, if you play any other mobile games, you will know that is way more often than most other mobile games. Even like FF11 only goes down every 2 weeks for maintenance, okay? And that's a big publisher as well, Smilegate. So when the game goes down every week and it's down for 8 hours, you would expect a higher level of QA, things not being broken before they get put in, and you'd expect them to be able to fix something or hotfix it either, you know, like overnight, you know, when most of the global version people are in bed, because like Australia would be the only unfortunate casualties in this. But you'd expect things to be fixed on the next week's maintenance at the very minimum. You know, you'd expect better planning ahead because, again, most of the content, 80% of it, is coming from another company who already makes that content, and they're importing it. And you combine those two things together. Most of the content coming, they know what the problems are. They have them. They see it 6 months ahead of time or more. And then they're down for maintenance so often, you would expect things to work better. And I just think that they don't have as many people working on the game. Obviously, War of the Visions was a pretty big disappointment for a lot of us who love the regular BE, because that means that they probably had a full team of a small studio working on this game, and then that comes out, and you're thinking, well, usually a new game doesn't just get half. They get more than half of the people to work on it. And I honestly don't think that many people are getting properly replaced, that we're doing a lot of the big work that, you know, we were used to in year 4, you know, in year 5. So yeah, I just don't see how a premium unit every 2 weeks or 3 weeks on top of a premium morale unit tomorrow, and probably another premium morale unit in June for anniversary is going to do anything but turn people off from playing the game, because you're going to creep power up so sharply, and it is a massive. You're talking about 500% extra stats on top of all the other stuff you already do. I don't see how anybody below whale is going to stay with the game for very much longer. Once they start to see, I mean, you'll probably still be able to rank one Clash of Wills, but if they balance Clash of Wills around leader skills of the 500% variety, it's going to shut a lot of people out from shared rank one. Because the next best leader skills are going to be like 100 and 200%. If Clash of Wills is balanced around a 100% leader skill, okay, then people with 500% leader skills are going to overkill Clash of Wills, which is totally fine because it's shared. And then they're going to dominate Dark Visions, which is fine because Dark Visions is meant for every other unit in the game. And I want to believe that that's what they're going to do. But Gumi just doesn't have the track record of succeeding and doing the right thing the first time that you would hope for a game that charges this much money. And I want to talk about that last. And like some of my thoughts on like how the business may be run and what some of the problems are. But let's continue with the live stream news and the updates and everything first, and then we'll talk about that at the end. Okay, so Ibarra is coming tomorrow. That was the other bigger news, and to everybody's dismay, she is a premium unit as well, as we just previously mentioned here. And she has a leader skill, but she won't have it tomorrow. We'll have to wait for the next patch after tomorrow, where they app update and they play in, they put in, where is she at? Where they put in the leader skills. So she's not going to have her leader skill. But then when leader skills get patched in a week from tomorrow, when Dio comes in, he will have his, she will get hers, and then a couple of the units that have leader skills will get theirs. Like Shitoto will get hers, and so on. So yeah, like she looks amazing. The sprite is beautiful. She does have a shift. They did show it, I believe, on stream. I think they showed the shift sprite. I don't remember, because I only saw slides when I was watching Beige Carpet the other day. Yeah, oh, here it is. Yeah, so it's basically just a stance change with a little bit of different lighting behind here, and like there's purple on her robe instead of black, and then like her little red half face mask goes away. I mean, it looks great, but you know she doesn't have the breaker tag, so she's going to miss out on some gear here. Her LB is actually going to be a spirit break, but we don't know for how much. Some people were saying 90, but I seriously doubt it'll be 90 with without the breaker tag. And you know she's got a great card, of course, but it's premium, so you only get an EX3. We've got more gear here. That's another weapon. This is not as bad, I think, as a lot of people. Like, people are sick of STMR weapons, and I get it because there's a lot of other good weapons from everywhere. This one's not as bad because, first of all, it's a katana. Second of all, she breaks for katanas. If she breaks at 35 or higher, that's really great. And we don't really have a magic katana anywhere near this power. I think 220 is the highest magic katana we've got. Or no, wait, that's a sword. Yeah, I don't even think we have anywhere close to this. So this is actually good. I'm also not super opposed to a premium unit having a weapon as an STMR, because you're gonna want to get to EX3 no matter what anyway. And if the STMR is a weapon and it's only got stats for them, you only need one copy per unit you're going to EX3, which is, so if you're going to EX3 a second copy sometime down the line, okay, you'll get a second katana for that if you want to use them both at the same time. But I think it's really not that bad for a weapon, because if it was a really great STMR that wasn't a weapon you need more than one of, you might want to Moogle 3 or 4 of them, and that might strap your STMR Moogles down. So this isn't actually, I think, as bad, because you're going to take this unit to EX3 anyway. The counter problem to that is there's so many SLB units in the game where you want to take them to EX3 so that you can use their LB on turn 3. Those units also have weapons, and that's where we get bogged down, right? So there's just too many premiums and too many SLB units, I think, with weapon STMRs, and there needs to be well, there's too many other units with weapon STMRs. I think SLB units or premium units with weapon STMRs not that bad, but when other shiftable units like 2B's weapon, is an is her STMR, that I don't like at all. Especially when there's a better katana already in the game, right? And she often doesn't even use her own katana. So, it is what it is. The puzzling stuff, though, she's got LB fill, morale fill. Okay, she's a damage dealer. Looks like she's got the support tag for her base form, so maybe this is a base form only. And she also has a standard magic boost, but it's on a 3-turn cooldown, and it also fills LB and does damage. So this one's weird. Usually when you want to store magic power, you don't also want to attack. It also fills morale gauge apparently too, so okay, cool. I mean, there's a lot of interesting things happening here. The problem is we don't have any numbers. We don't know what her damage is going to be like, even though she's a damaging unit. We don't have any modifiers. We don't know what her SLB does. I think it's only her base LB is what they told us about. Where is it? Up here, up here somewhere. Oh, it's not even in here. Like the LB is not even in here. The LB they told us about on the stream. Oh wait, no, here it is. Yeah. So this is dancing slash. Okay, so they only tell us about her base form LB. We don't have any clue what her shift form LB is. I was correct here. This is cool because it's going to imperil Katana and 8 of the 12 races, which is nice. I mean, if it does it at a good enough rate, anyway. I don't know. Again, Ibarra is one of those things where we're going to need the data mine to know, and I just don't see them putting in a unit that is so good that you must pull for it right before they start the train of leader skills, especially with Dio being much further behind than he probably should have been, right? So putting this out after Dio, maybe if you put Dio out 2 weeks ago, you might be able to squeeze this in, but we're going to have premium, probably not premium, and then probably premium Laswell after that, which nobody should pull on anyway. But then like another week or two of not, and then we'll probably get Rain sometime in April. And that's everybody's going to pull for Rain, because Rain is the leader that you actually would want, that is probably going to be worth the premium price. Because his series is FFBE, which are the most busted units in the game, right? So it's going to be tough to know what to do here. And then we'll just talk about it briefly. They did give her a leader skill, and it's the same as Diosis's, except for they didn't show us that it covers a series, so it might only be covering dark units. And they showed it as having 500 magic boost, so 550 magic boost, so 50 more magic boost than Dio's skill, but like 200 or 300, I think it's like 300% to attack, which is such a huge damage drop off. Like that would be like Sylvie's LB versus like, well, no, I'm like trying to think of an LB that's only 200% and like 150 and like 125 to LB damage. 200% stats. I can't even think there's something like Aerith's is still more than that, and she's like one of the very first. She's like in the first premium batch we got of. Yeah, it's gonna be tough. This puts the community in a pickle. There's really nothing we can know about until we know tomorrow, and then even then tomorrow, once we know, it's a very, very small chance that this unit's gonna be so ridiculous that you have to pity at least one. Which is a shame, because I really like this character. I thought she's probably one of the only interesting global original characters that we've seen in design. Like I think I like Elena, I like Louise, and then like I probably maybe would go Ibarra third for like a global original character. And I just don't think I'm going to be able to get my hands on her day one. I don't see any way around it. You know, I'm not swimming in Lapis. I did go for Abigail EX3 because she looked about as future proof as you can be. Unfortunately, with only one huge flaw, which is the blind on automatic blind skill. Um, but yeah, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be a tough spot. So that's pretty much it for the units. Then they talked about a couple other things, leader skills especially. You know, they talked about various miscellaneous updates. We're going to get auto repeat for farming. Again, not tomorrow, but on the big app update. And you know, their Clash of Wills info was there as well. It's human demon. As we knew, it is a big giant samurai guy, and his name is Nabu Noga, which is if you're not familiar with the Warring States period of Imperial Japan, basically the world was kind of like, or sorry, not the world, the country was in disarray, and it was ruled by regionally by warlords or shogun or daimyo, actually. The shogun were the wards underneath the daimyo, I believe. Daimyo is like the top shogun of the region, and the man who ruthlessly united almost all of Japan before he was killed himself. Famously, his name is Oda Nobunaga. So they just took that name and flipped the two vowels, A and O, and then left the other A on the end and the U in the middle, and that's how they got the name. So I know a lot of people are like, what is it? It's about as lazy of a naming as you can make. Very interesting historical figure. If you've ever played any of the Warriors franchise from Koei Tecmo, Warriors Orochi or Samurai Warriors, you'll see the character in the game. Well, you'll see a stylized, romanticized version of the character, not the real character. You need to read some books in Japanese history about him if you want to learn more there. Or there's a pretty decent documentary if you have access to, I believe. Is it Hulu or Netflix? I can't remember. But it covers the entire history in about 6 episodes. It's only a couple years old. It's not bad. It's definitely lacking detail. But if you don't want to read, there's an option if you're interested in that character. And then we got some more information about some gear that's going to come tomorrow. Nothing really to write home about. And then we got some information about how the tagging system is going to work. There is a Clash of Wills specific tag. And like a unit such as Ibarra here with morale skills is going to get that tag as their series, I believe. So instead of being FFBE, they'll be Clash of Wills, I think. Oh, no. They'll have both. My mistake. Yeah, because they showed a slide with Ibarra and with Sylvie and they had both. What's interesting is that they decided to not change JP's method, and only one element tag will be given to each unit. It won't be all right away, probably. They will probably stagger these because they'll stagger them with the leader skills that are in the game. I think it took JP a while to do the same. I don't remember, but I remember like lightning tags weren't out like right away, But interestingly enough, they showed us a Sylvie, and Sylvie had the lightning tag, but not an earth tag, which is unfortunate. So what that basically means is it's going to shoehorn these units that you used to be able to use together out of certain parties because, well, maybe not Sylvie. She's probably a bad example, but like anyone else that's like doing like regular support, if they don't have the survivability to survive in like a Clash of Wills type fight, this is going to become where the issue is serious. So it's not that as big of a deal in JP because there's not really any damage in DV. You don't really have to build for survivability in DV. You maybe have to bring status immunity. Maybe one unit's got to bring evasion occasionally. And even then, it's not necessarily how it's going to go. In Clash, you are constantly having to survive and pick your burst turns, get your bursts in, and then get the fight done. If you bring a unit that doesn't get that 200% defense and spirit buff from a leader skill, they might very well just straight up die to not even fix damage in a lot of clashes. And again, that's where we go back to, will Clash of Wills be tuned around these leader skills and the stat boosts that they give? The good ones, the premium ones from the JP units. It's up in the air. We really won't know till tomorrow, and then we won't even really know because tomorrow's the third boss in the season, which is naturally going to be the hardest in the cycle of 3. We really won't know until a month from now when we see a level 1 boss in a new season and see how that's tuned. Will it be tuned for Deosis level damage? It is Dio. We don't know. And uncertainty, to me, says don't spend money. Lack of certainty is either gambling or investing, depending on how you look at it. And most of us don't have the kind of money to be calling it investing, especially when this is a product where there is literally zero real world value. You cannot flip what you buy to get your money back or some of it back later on. It's not a physical, tangible item, and it's not an intangible item that's intrinsically going to be worth at least a few cents in a company's shares. Like it's a sketchy place to be. And yeah, that's just something that they probably could have fixed very easily that they decided not to. Huge disappointment there. So like your Sylvie might not be able to come to your Earth Clash now, depending on how much damage that thing does and how much it's tuned around, like, the Earth Leader skill and her not having the tag to get it, right? Who knows? And then lastly, they had a Q&A section. Now, the Q&A section was a vast improvement because they actually answered questions that were relevant. The problem was that of the questions that they answered, 2 of their 3 answers were terrible answers. I think I already mentioned one. The one was, are we getting auto repeat? Yes, we are. It's coming in that app update patch in 8 days. The next one was, with units like Abigail, are you going to, and there's like a couple more, are you going to please acknowledge that it's really bad for that unit to have the auto blind on like a skill that, or any skill, even like if opening the fight with it or putting it on another skill it's innately defensive and blah blah blah, because it'll trigger bosses to do stuff to you. And they basically said, we can't promise that we won't do that again because we design each unit the way we want to design it. And okay, like, tone deaf, out of touch, just when you think they're listening to the community, they give you an answer like that shows you that they're probably not. And that's pretty discouraging. Pretty discouraging. And what was the third question? I don't even remember. I thought I have it in my notes. Let me pull it up real quick. Is it just my internet that's like slow? Oh yeah, okay. No, I don't know what's going on. Anyway. I'm trying to pull it up here. I'm trying to also remember, what was it about? Oh, it was about Chamber of the Vengeful. I remember. Alright, so they were asked, they finally answered this question. People have been asking about it for 6 months. Chamber of the Vengeful. Why isn't anything new in Chamber of the Vengeful? When you came out and told us about Chamber of the... now, this was the question was just, what's up with Chamber of the Vengeful? And why aren't any more Clash bosses going in? But really what the question really is you told us about Chamber of the Vengeful. You hyped it up during anniversary. You released it. You put one boss in there, and then you forgot it existed. Well, you put one Clash boss. I guess technically Chamber of the Vengeful existed. They moved the other bosses that were already like that in there, and they basically said we don't have any plans at this time to put any other bosses in there, and but we do look like we do want to make other content for the game that's like more fun or whatever. What? Like, okay. So you figured out a way to reuse content that you've already worked on, which is like kind of like the whole model of how Gumi's doing business in the first place. Like 80% of the stuff they're importing from another company's game, and then they're adding stuff into it. So you figured out a way to do it. To do the same thing you're doing, which is going to let you run with a smaller staff and all that. With the stuff that you've actually created, you're going to recycle it, which is actually great, and it actually was decent enough to where people were enjoying it and like, oh yeah, this is cool. Like this is a way that I can slowly build up my team over time to overcome this, and then like it's cool because the fight's not gone for forever and everything, or some of them aren't gone for forever. Now obviously they're not going to add every Clash boss. There doesn't even need to be a unique item that comes in with every Clash boss that gets put into the Chamber of the Vengeful. But you already can't handle the bugs and the other issues that are going on in the game with the staff you have. You figure out a way to recycle old content back in that players actually responded pretty well to. And then you ditch it for either something that's completely unknown, or you're just lying and saying like, yeah, we're going to make more stuff that's different from that in addition to Clash, but like, we don't know what it is yet, or we can't tell you yet, which I don't fucking believe. I mean, maybe they'll tell us in like anniversary, like, hey, there's this new game mode that we made for you, but it's like, okay, so there's going to be more bugs, and it's there's going to be less programmers to fix it, and so yeah. When I have the title saying the stream was a mixed bag, the new stream was a mixed bag, the stream itself, the quality of like the energy and like what was being spoken about and all that, the cutting out of the superfluous crap that nobody cares about, more information than we're used to, not enough information, but more information than we're used to. Okay, positives, but most of the information that we got, most of it is disappointing or concerning, and that's why I wanted to get talking about the state of the game out of the way real quick, because I've been saying it for months now, and I don't want to be the doom and gloom guy, but I don't want you to spend your money on this game and have it shut down in a year. You know what I mean? There's a reason I stopped spending money after Nier, because I don't see a path in which this game is going to last for 3 or 4 more years. I just don't see it, and that sucks, because I love this community, and I want to go meet everybody. One of the biggest reasons I still play is because the content that gets put out by even the small number of people that do is all really enjoyable. I mean, you've got everything. You've got Sinzar with all the great, like, no muss, no fuss, clear stuff. He's very honest with his opinions, does all the math. You've got Poxis with like the hilarious humor. You've got Flip with all the crazy challenge runs that are awesome and like super interesting, pulling value out of the game that you never would think could be pulled, like just basically squeezing water out of a rock. You've got Gerd, of course, with all the beginner friendly stuff and the intermediate friendly stuff, showing people how they can get their trials done, and enjoyable casual stuff, and all the rest, Ladilly and Speedy, Spidey, and everybody else, and all the people that we've lost along the way. I missed Clake. He's sort of half back now. Rest in peace, Meme Lord, of course. I used to love reading his reviews every week on Reddit, and the unofficial live stream is like I will take, if the unofficial live stream was on like a Sunday, or if I worked weekends or something, I would take a day off every year just to watch it. You know, I would love to be able to like somehow parlay FanFest into doing that live somewhere. Um, but there's people that you only see like once a year, um, because they don't, they, you know, they have other things to do, but they still love the game. You know, and it's great to see those people again. And it's gonna suck when we lose the game because every mobile game shuts down inevitably. I mean, I don't know. I've seen some go for like there's one I used to play that's going on its like ninth year. It's about to hit like its ninth anniversary or something, I think. So it's definitely possible to continue, and but I think the whales can only sustain us for so long, and I just can't in good conscience tell people like, yeah, dump $100 into the game because you should pull on this premium unit. And the pricing is already kind of ridiculous in the first place. So this has kind of all been leading into what I wanted to talk about at the end of the show here. And that's the actual cost. Okay. So you don't get enough free lapis to have 46,000 a month. Even if you rank 1 Clash, which is 10,000, and you log in every day and you do all the events, the most you're going to end up with is probably about 30, give or take. You're going to get some from DV, but you know, if you're not a top 500 player, you're not going to get a ton. So you're basically looking at skipping 7 out of 8 weeks worth of stuff if you have to pity. And often you do have to pity. You know, there's been some, I've had some great runs of luck, especially last year. Vilk, 2B, well, even then 2B wasn't that good. Chizuru, I had good luck. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, where I have good luck is not in the pulls when I actually decide to pull. Where I have good luck is ripping one copy off of a ticket, or like hitting the unit that I only want one copy of on the step up, like before I get to the pity, and then stopping. That's where I usually have decent luck at. And then random off banners, like I'll get a cog like a month after he came out, where he's, you know, okay, cool, like now I have this, I can go for the card or whatever, right? But I was probably what you consider a dolphin when I came back, just because I hadn't played for 2 years. So I came back like right before NVs were put into the game, like maybe a couple months before, end of 2019. Yeah, like fall of 2019. My other game kind of went the way, or well, the people I was playing with kind of like basically quit, or and the ones remaining merged into a guild that wanted even more of our time, and I just couldn't do it. So I looked for a game where I didn't have to invest as much time on a daily basis, and I still had some friends playing this. I came back. A lot of things were looking up at the time. Maybe not necessarily the Chapter 3 story, but everything else. And here I am. But to catch up took, conservatively, probably a few $1,000 over the course of, let's just say 2020. Because I could kind of afford to spend it, since the other things I would normally would do, go out on the weekend, have some beer, go to the casino, you know, sports tickets, comedy shows, concerts, those kind of things. All that money was sitting in my pocket because we couldn't do it in 2020. So I put it into this game. And, you know, with a Final Fantasy product, you can usually think, oh, this will last for a while. But then you see Square Enix do what they do. You see these apps with bigger investment getting cut off. And you're almost relieved that this is not directly published by Square, but it's published by Square, but it's not developed by them. So as long as this company making money that develops the game is solvent, they will keep probably making the game. And as long as that licensing from Square doesn't become too expensive, they'll keep going, right? But, you know, you saw Record Keeper end. And that's the trajectory, I think, that Brave Exvius is on right now. And unfortunately, it's because you really are pricing people out of keeping up. It's already tough enough for like one premium every two or 3 months to pull for them, and then also pull for, like, you know, again in JP there's no Clash unit that you have to pull for. That's an additional unit that you're going to have to pull for sometimes, most of the time actually. And then the rate at which you have to pull and the rate at which you get extra copies is so inconsistent that it's very difficult to like go for a unit, to really go for a unit, you know. If you look at the base Lapis purchase prices, okay, let's just go down to the $100 pack, okay? You only get 18k Lapis, okay, for $100. That's not half. You're 10k short of half of a regular unit pity. This is just more than a quarter of a premium unit. So what this says on paper, now this is not opinion, this is fact. What this says is that Gumi thinks that Ibarra, coming out tomorrow, is worth $375. Okay? For a non-tangible product that you cannot resell, that you don't even own, you know. This is the issue. And actually, NJ, thanks for popping in and mentioning that. This is exactly where I was going, okay? Final Fantasy 16 is coming out in the summertime. It's going up to $70. But you can buy a physical copy, trade it in, so on and so forth. And, you know, it's tough to compare gacha to like a real-life copy of a video game. But most of us don't even buy real-life copies of video games anymore. Most of us buy licenses. And we do it on platforms that are probably going to be around for a really long time, to where like the investment is not that risky. You know, I buy Final Fantasy 16 on Steam for $70. I play it for 50 hours. Let's just say I play through it like one playthrough is maybe 40, 50 hours probably. Safe estimate. I'm not going to put it as long as some of the older Final Fantasies because it's an action game, not a you know, regular, not a traditional RPG. But I'm sure there'll be some DLC and there'll be some expansions and so on and so forth, just like there was with 15, 13, so on. Even the MMOs with 14, you pay like $12 a month or whatever. But if you play for X amount of hours, you definitely get your money's worth. I remember paying like $10 for a 15-minute game of laser tag back in like the mid 2000s. Okay, and then like you get a membership, you get a $7 game or whatever. The cost to hedonism ratio does exist, but what gachas do is instead of operating on that, they don't operate on this cost to hedonism ratio. They prey on your compulsion. It's all about hooking you and hitting dopamine in your brain and getting you to put money in like a casino does with a slot machine. I'm not saying it should be illegal. I'm just saying you have to understand how this stuff works before you start throwing your money into this machine if you don't understand what it's doing. And a lot of gachas die. But there's a lot of decent ones out there that can survive if the pricing is fair. And I think the reason that a game like this is struggling to get things out on time is because they don't have enough people working on the game. And it's a vicious cycle. Their revenues are probably down from where they were a few years ago. I don't think you get that back up by gouging the people that are already still paying. You have to give an incentive to people who are enjoying themselves to donate into the pot. You know, you don't make insurance costs go down by having less people and charging them more money. That just pushes them away to someone else who will do it the right way. And the reason I get, and this is not even a great example because the base Lapis prices are all here to divert you towards the bundles, right? They know they're not going to sell most people 18K for $100, okay? They want you to come to the bundle and see that you can get 10K for 50. So if I buy 2 of these, I get 20K, I get 2K more, and I get this other stuff. But this is the same company saying, hey, we'll give you a discount on our normal price, but this discount's available every single week, or some facsimile of this discount is available every single week. And there's no competition. Once you're in this game and you're playing this game, they're not competing with someone else necessarily for your money, especially this is what gachas do. They make you sink all their time into them. And FFB doesn't actually demand a lot of your time once you're caught up to the meta. Unless you you're a day one clash clear and you want to do it your own way and stuff. Or, like a day one DV clear, or, well, not day one, but day one of the last stage opening and so on. And you want to grind for good variance rolls and whatever. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't spend money on gacha even. Obviously, you shouldn't spend money on anything you can afford. But there is a way for Gumi to do this right. And they just are choosing not to. Again, the amount of maintenance that they do, the inability to get things fixed even though they're down every single week for 8+ hours, the rate at which they release new things, which is way faster and higher than everything else, the cost of each unit, and the inability for anybody to pull on even half of the stuff that comes out. All those things combined are just going to lead to the game dying. And I think it's already happening, to be honest. And releasing a side game or another game with the same name that's even grindier, to try to capture some of the market back instead of just putting more effort into the game you already have that has an established player base, I think is a huge, again, step in the wrong direction. And yeah, leader skills, again, if leader skills weren't coming on premium units, this might not change a whole lot. But them all coming on premiums, it's you can't barely even afford to pull a premium, period. Even as a mid-tier player, even as a Dolphin, you're looking at these prices and going, I can't keep up with this shit. I'm not saying I have the right answer. I'm just saying that there's a lot of different things that could be done. Space out the releases. Instead of releasing a new unit every week, only release new units every 2 weeks. Combine the two banners together so that when somebody, and then boost the rates of how many NVs you're going to pull. Don't force people. If people see the pity price and think, oh, the pity price is what I'll pay a quarter of the time without hitting 1 or 2 of the 3 or 4 units available, they're much more likely to dip into the banner. Nobody else does a weekly release for units. Literally no other fucking app you can find does a weekly release for essential pieces to be able to play the game. It's too fast, and their cost is just ridiculous. Their cost is almost 1.5 to 1.75 the amount, 5 times the amount, depending on if it's a premium or not, to what it costs to get a unit in another similar game. For the games that make the units pitiable. Some units don't even make the games pitiable, which is okay. It's there's that's just one suggestion, and it might not work, but not trying it is a death by 1,000 cuts, right? And I don't know. I just think that this is dangerous. It's going to push people away. They're already pushing people away, and a premium morale unit in March, when we're pretty much guaranteed to get another premium morale unit in June, on top of getting 7 premium morale units in the next 5 months, I don't see how anybody doesn't just get pissed off and throw the game in the trash. Proverbially, obviously not going to throw your phone in the trash, but I just don't get it. And if we were rewarded, you could even take it in the other direction. Weekly releases, it's this expensive, but everything runs flawlessly. There's never any bugs. The balance is impeccable. There's no useless units that you would even need to skip. But you can make a choice. Hey, if you pull Bart's, you won't need the next win unit because he's going to last for 8 months or whatever. That quality, that business model doesn't exist in their company either. So yeah, seeing the news, especially in the last 6 months on the live streams, it's nice to have them back, but it's hard to be positive about the information that we get and the direction that the game's going. And that's just me being honest. But like I said earlier, the community is great. I have faith that most of it will stick together and we'll try to go to the same place when, D-Day eventually comes. And that's something you can't put a price on. So I don't think anything will be accomplished by quitting. If you love the game, you should keep playing it. And if that means just logging in once a day or once every couple of days and just like doing a quick run in your shard dungeon and then logging out, pulling in your free tickets and logging out, at least it keeps the numbers there. The company sees that there's interest in the game. It's just that there's something we're doing wrong. The content or the cost are not good enough for people to do anything but log in and do their frag dungeon, right? And the community has done so much to keep this thing alive. And there's been several big events that have kind of like careened us down the path of destruction a little bit faster. But you can't blame anybody for taking off. Like, you really can't. And if the company doesn't see that as a call to action, then I don't think there's anything we can do. However, we can stay together. Keep playing until we're forced to go somewhere else, and then we can go somewhere else. So it's not all doom and gloom, but I'd say keep your wallet closed until they commit to doing something better. As much as you want to keep something like this alive, costs can be too high. Costs can be too great, and a lot of people can't afford to pay it, figuratively and literally. So that's the show for this week, folks. Who knows what's going to happen? Save your lapis for rain. Don't worry about, even if Ibarra is insane, don't worry about it. She's not time limited. You might pull one later. Who knows? Throw some tickets. Save your lapis for rain. If there's any unit you're going to want to pity before anniversary, it's definitely going to be rain. Throw some tickets at Ibarra. Throw some tickets at Dio. And hold steady. Hold firm. Weather the storm. Maybe at anniversary we get a turn. Last anniversary was a light at the end of the tunnel, and then they threw us back to the start of the tunnel a couple months after that. But maybe there's a turning point coming soon. You never know. So stay strong. Log in every day. Do your shard dungeon at least. Show them that there's interest in the game. Hit that FanFesta hashtag. Tweet it at them. Let them know that you want to meet up in North America somewhere where everybody can go hang out. Unfortunately, some of our Australian and European friends won't be able to make that probably, but maybe next year, if things turn around, we can do something in Europe. Who knows? So yeah, keep logging in, but protect yourself. Protect yourself. Don't feel the pressure to pull these premium units. You'll still get there on Clash. You'll still get there on DV. That currency is still going to come rolling in. You just might have to wait a little longer to finish your helm, to buy your katana. You can stick it out. So hopefully we'll see you back next week. Also might be live tomorrow after Ibarra comes out, reviewing the kit in full. Really depends on how available I am, but if so, that will be exclusive to Twitch. So if you guys are watching this on YouTube, make sure you check out the link below. Come follow me on the Twitch channel, and check out the live broadcast every Wednesday night, and where we record this. And also any supplementary streams, they're going to be over there and exclusive to there. Only this show is what gets uploaded. And the occasional, if I do what I did at the end of this show, and I do like an extra piece that's about more than just the week's news, like what happened this week, that will usually go up. But we're just keeping this one all in one big episode here, and not doing a whole extra thing about it, because I could go for 2-3 hours about what's going on with this one. So with this live stream and news update. So, yep, that's it for this week, guys. We'll see you next time. Take care of each other, and more importantly, take care of your future investments. Budget. Don't fall down the gacha hole. And we'll still be here to hang out with you and play the game as a community. All right, guys. See ya.